Hello, my dear audience. Today is a new episode of KSM Podcasts, Growing Business Online with Christina. And I must say that and I'm super excited today to have my very special guest speaker, Fran. Fran, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you for having me.
Fran, it's such a pleasure to have you today, and thank you for joining me. And Dear friend, tell us a little bit about you. Introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, where are you based?
Right. Well, I was born in the UK and I did my training as a nurse in London. And then I went overseas. I lived in Hong Kong, and for a while I was living in a refugee camp with the Vietnamese boat people. I left Hong Kong to go to Australia to help and work more with the Vietnamese boat people, but I carried on nursing as well. And then I married one of them, and we have three boys, and they're now in different countries around the world. I am now super mum because I have three grandchildren almost. One is due in May.
That's pretty good, and thank you for sharing that. And you're, friend, you're really experienced woman and such a right persona to talk as a guest speaker today. And also, and when you have such amazing career because you travel, let's say, all around the world in some way, as you mentioned, Hong Kong and Australia and UK, where you're born, and etc. And can you share with us what triggered you? I know that you're a nurse and have such a long-term career, 40 years. Am I right?
Yes.
And can you share with us what triggered you to be a nurse, and then how did you start your own business journey, your own business after a long career?
Yes. I worked as a nurse in various places. I did like working in theatre, and then I ended up in emergency department, and I worked there in Logan in Australia for 18 years. I learned a lot through all the various places that I worked. I also worked in Pakistan for 2 months on the edge of the Sindh Desert. And that was fascinating because we didn't have all the sterilized equipment that we have here in the West. So we had to autoclave and sterilize our own swabs, etc., etc. So I can still remember counting out in Urdu, ek, do, teen, jar, panch, because I did it so many times, I'll never forget those 5 words and how to count up to five. So I put 5 swabs in the packet and then we sterilized them. So that was fascinating. I think I've deviated from the question. So could you remind me what the original question was?
Yeah, and I asked you what triggered you to be a nurse. And after that, when you, let's say, in some way finished your long-term career as nursing in hospital and worldwide, what triggered you to start your own business journey? Let's focus on this corporate, like to say, what triggered you to that, and after that, we're going to talk about your own business journey and what you do now.
Okay. Yes, what triggered me to be a nurse was that actually I'm a caring person. And I went to a careers advice people and they suggested a couple of things that I could only remember two options. One was to be an architect and the other one was to be a nurse. And I thought nursing is a caring profession and I've got a big heart. So that would be a good thing for me to do. So I did that. And then what made me go from nursing after 40 years to becoming a solopreneur? Basically, my ex-husband was someone who suffered from complex post-traumatic stress disorder, complex PTSD. He got that from all the times that he was in Vietnam, being a student in the university, just at the changeover from the Ho Chi Minh taking over and communism starting in Vietnam. So the whole system changed and he hated that, so he had to leave. And his journey was via Thailand to Australia. And we met in Australia, and I'd worked in the Hong Kong refugee camp. So similar but different sort of stories. But mine wasn't as traumatized as his was. So basically, all his trauma he just shoved down, and didn't actually address anything. We never talked about what happened. He asked some questions about my life, which was poles apart from his. I'd been brought up in England. It was a lovely, pleasant family situation. He was brought up in war-torn Vietnam, where he was the eldest of 11, and they were basically brought up by an uncle because his dad was in the army and his mum was busy earning money by selling food on the streets to save and support the family. So he was kind of in charge of his 11 or 10 siblings, but didn't have any parenting skills because he wasn't demonstrated it at all. His uncle was there just there to keep an eye on them, but he wasn't really interested in them. So a bit of cruelty was applied, I'm afraid. So he learnt that as well. So he was traumatized by all of that. And it wasn't until 2006 when he was involved in a car accident where he was stationary at traffic lights, nothing to do with him, it wasn't his fault. And this woman came charging into the back of him and slammed his car and made a 5-car pileup. He wasn't worried about the car so much as the fact that it seemed like to him that a bomb had gone off and it triggered all the stuff that he'd been hiding underneath the surface. And basically, he imploded. Even his neck got thicker and he developed sleep apnea. So his neck got thicker. He couldn't breathe properly at night. And I had to dig him in the ribs and say, breathe. And he didn't like that. So we got a sleep apnea machine. Didn't like that either. But it helped. And
And did he survive that car accident?
yes, yes, he wasn't injured physically. It was more mental illness. He had a bit of bruising from his back and his neck, but that was fixed with swimming. So he had swimming therapy, but everything else we tried did not help him at all.
And did you start maybe to help him in some way
We tried. We
with
tried.
that way in mental health and
Yes.
counseling?
He went to a psychologist, to a psychiatrist. He tried different medications. His body rejected all the medications. Every new one he started on, he came out in hives, and he was just rejecting it all. He didn't want help. So I
Mhm.
didn't know how to help him. And then when it got not safe to stay with him anymore, we left. And then I'd already started my counseling training, and I then continued with that, and then realized that this is what I wanted to do, was to help people because I've had so much experience of living with him. He's traumatized us all. I know what it's like to live with somebody who's got complex PTSD. But in saying that, I've also been exposed to trauma of my own. Working in the emergency department, we saw a lot of things. So knowing and understanding how the ambulance officers reacted, how some of them had stories they need to just unload, I learned a lot through all of that.
Yeah, and in some way, you also, as you mentioned, you also experienced trauma in Vietnam, in Hong Kong, in Pakistan, and all your life with your uh, patients, how I can say it, like in hospital and also with your husband, what you had as a personal experience to start, and he refused that. So that's I sometimes there are many similar things what we as a member of family wanted to help
Yeah.
our partner, but they just refuse and say, okay, cancel it. They don't want it to collaborate in some way.
No, he didn't. And this is one of the things I say to my clients: you must want to be well. I can't help you if you don't want to be well. But if you do want to be well, then this process that we use, the Richard's Trauma Process, TRTP for short, works really well. And there's loads of information available on YouTube. Judith Richards talks about it all the time. There's lots to learn about it, and she's devised it because of her own personal hell and what she's gone through, and it really does work. So if anybody out there is thinking, oh crumbs, there's nobody that can help me, then think again, because there is light at the end of the tunnel and there are systems that can help. And I only take 5 sessions to help you. It works simply, efficiently, and safely. And that's the beauty of this modality. It does help to transform lives.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And Fran, what is the core of your healing and helping people? Because I want a little bit later today to ask you some questions, mostly, but just and what is the core, and do you help people globally? Because thankful to the technology today, like you and me today, and we're talking now and having this amazing episode. So just to for all listeners that they know that they can connect with you and that you can help them in terms to healing trauma or other area of your knowledge and practice.
Thank you for that question. Yes, thanks to COVID, the whole system has changed, and instead of seeing people in person, it's much easier actually to see people online. Because when you're at home in your safe environment with your headphones on, you are totally focused on what's happening. You're not worried about getting to the office, you're not worried about the weather or traffic. So it's simple. You just click on, find Zoom, put your headphones on, and you've got me in your head talking about what's happening. And we use wonderful system. It's called dynamic reimagining. So it's basically like guided meditation. And it's not hypnosis, it's using guided imagination. For example, if you've been driving a car and you're going from A to C and you go through B, sometimes you're thinking about so much else that you don't remember going through B. And that's like you're in a trance form. You're awake, you're conscious, you're still driving your car safely, but you're thinking about something else. And it's the power of the mind that we're tapping into. So when you have been damaged in the past, it's like you've taken on unconscious core beliefs which lodge up here, maybe from childhood, maybe from later on. And this system helps to unlock those and say what's happened in the past is over now and you're safe now. And it's okay to put that in the filing cabinet of saying that's in the past. It's not being relived over and over again, like having video loops in your head that you can't turn off and night terrors that just keep reoccurring. You can turn them off and park them in that filing cabinet, still there in your mind, but not playing on your mind anymore. And then we use the power of the mind with guided imagination, helping you to achieve and think about how you can overcome these things simply, safely, and efficiently. And we use the power of yourself and your younger self. And it's just beautiful. It's very gentle, it's very safe, and it doesn't re-traumatize.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And also, do you work one to one or one to group? Do you have experience with the group session when only one to one, maybe,
Only
or
one to
how?
one. I have done group sessions, but not with TRTP. The TRTP is only one to one because it's your personal stuff. It's not something that you want to share
And can
necessarily.
you can you share with us TRTP just to share with us in a full? Uh, what is that shortened word? Maybe.
TRTP stands for the Richards trauma process because Judith Richards put it together. And when she put it together, she didn't know how powerful this tool was. And she met a man called Steve who was ex-army and he had got severe complex PTSD. And he said to her, "Oh, nothing can fix me. I'm going to have to live with this for the rest of my life." And she said to him simply, "What have you got to lose? Give me a go." Oh, okay. So we went to see her and she literally threw all of TRP at him at once. Now, we don't do that, but he needed that at that time. So it's what the client needs, not what we think necessarily. So he had the whole session all at once. And he came out of it going, wow, what's just happened? I'm going to check it out because over there's a cinema showing Saving Private Ryan. So he trots across the road, checks himself into the cinema and watches the film. No reaction. Must have gone to sleep. Checked himself out of the cinema, checked himself back into the cinema and watched the film again. Still no reaction. So, quote unquote, he said, "This shit works." So he went back to Judith and said, "You've got to teach this to people. This is amazing." So she got together 30 psychiatrists, psychotherapists, and said, "This is how you do TRTP in one fell swoop, in one weekend, intensely." She showed them how to do it. And they all said, "This is amazing." So she turned around and said, "Okay, thank you for that. How many of you are going to use this in your practice?" And of the 30, Only 2 put their hands up. And why was that? Because they didn't want to not have any clients left. Now, to me, that's ethically wrong. If I know how to help somebody and I just keep them in my books because I want the money to come in, I don't agree with that. I think if I can help you, I will do all I can to get you through this process. And then you have to do your bit, obviously. I'm basically the catalyst, you do the work. And once it's done, you'll actually find that you've got peace of mind, you can have your joy back again, and you can live the life that you want to the full without having those reoccurring loops going round and round in your head. Wouldn't you like that? Isn't that what people want? Absolutely.
And when you mentioned that, would you think that that we, especially in online world, we're so in front of computer or many devices, and devices are like a tablet, laptop, whatever, PC, however, mobile phones. And sometimes people don't think about their health, just okay, I can do it. If I can, I can do that. You know, just get clients, etc., etc. And however, and some authors who write a book, or authors and many other managers, consultants, etc., etc. And do you think that all these professionals, do they need to just experience your coach healing, in terms that they don't like, how I can say it, that they don't need to be in that position to, but they need to experience it and see if they don't go in total trauma, that way what you do. So do you think that people can just come to you, and if they see something, some signs that they're so tired, or like, that they mental health sometimes doesn't resonate too much with, just they feel that they're so tired or exhausted or something like that?
And mental health is slightly different from physical illness because you've got nothing to show for it. So to pick somebody who said, "Oh, I think they need some help," not necessarily. So it's they haven't got a red flag saying, help me," at all. It's literally it's their what they've got inside of them. Now, how can I help? I can help by helping them to think about what's happened and to then go through the guided imaginations, which helps them to let go of the past. Not that you forget it, but that it's parked, as I said, in the filing cabinet of that's happened and it's over now and I'm safe. Then one of the other questions that you've addressed is that how do we as ex-medical people or people like who've been in a corporate business suddenly become a solopreneur? It is with great difficulty. It is not easy running your own business. Once you've been an employee and you've got the paycheck coming in every week or every month, whatever it is that you get paid, it's very nice. You've got that money coming in and you know that if you keep doing your job, that money will keep coming in. But if you're working individually, you've got to be everything, including the marketeer. You've got to do your profession. You've got to be marketing it. You've got to do all the admin stuff. You've got to do the posting on social media. So it is quite demanding and it takes up a lot of time. And there is no quick fix unless you go and get a VA, a virtual assistant, who can do some of that for you. It depends on your financial situation.
Yes, I agree with you, because it time consuming when you do everything. And the point is, sometimes you can have clients, sometimes not. As you mentioned, when you are in long-term journey in corporate sector, you have your monthly income. That's good. But it's no easy peasy way to be mom, to be solo entrepreneur, and do everything alone. And you can delegate someone, but you need to have money to pay someone to do it.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
know also from my experience how it works, how that works.
That's why it's so important to have people like you who can help us get the message out there without having to sort of be charged too much money and say, right, look, this is one of the ways that we can help, is to get the message out there and say, please pass on the message. But you don't need it yourself. Do you know somebody else who does? So pass on the message, because then you're doing Christina a favor and myself a favor by passing on her beautiful podcasts and getting the
Thank
message
you very much.
further out to other people.
Yes, this is a global podcast, and also there are amazing, amazing coaches, healers, consultants, managers, leaders who share such amazing stories. And this podcast is so viral, it's so global from all around the world, especially in the area of English language speaking. And I really love that. So, and thank you so very much, Lynn, Fran, sorry, for joining podcast today. And this is such amazing to have such amazing speakers who share their own business journey, their own life journey, and also they're so authentic. Their authenticity, which is so important. I mean,
Thank you. And we should say where we met, because we met on Brains School. And so that's a lovely organization to belong to. And it's really, really connecting with people. So if I hadn't joined that, I wouldn't have met Christina. So it's literally about building a network, connecting with as many people as possible and saying, this is what I do, and this is why I do what I do, because I love getting people well. I love helping people to get their joy back. And that's my strapline. I want to help people get their joy, because when you're living life and it's miserable, it's not much fun. But, there is joy out there, and there is opportunities to have fun again. So one of my clients was literally, he was ex-army. He was literally at the end of his tether. He'd been carrying his trauma for 31 years, and he was going to jump from a bridge. And he was stopped by two policemen. And they talked him off the bridge, and he came to see me, and he came in person this time, actually, but I have helped another one online, similar to this. And he sat down heavily in the chair, and you could see the skepticism across his face. Oh, here we go, another bloody counsellor. What fat lot of good is this going to do me? By the end of our 2-hour session, I'd done a lot. I'd done all the paperwork with him because he was dyslexic. I had done the introductory session and session 1 of TRTP. And just before he got up to go, he had a funny look on his face, and I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I'm trying to trigger myself, but I can't." I said, "Good. I'll see you next week." He came back the next week, bearing in mind I'd never met this man before, except for the first session the week before. And he sat down heavily in the same chair, and he said, "I've tried all week to trigger myself, and I still can't." And I said, "Good. That means my mumbo jumbo stuff's working, isn't it?" "Yeah, I suppose it is." A bit begrudgingly, he said that. But his family have seen the change in him. So I've seen 5 members of his family now because of the transformation of their dad, or whatever relationship he was to them, which is just amazing, isn't it? How the ripple
I just wanted to say that you just imagine how did you feel in that time when you helped that person, that guy, man, and just imagine what is the beauty of your healing, of your business to help people. And what is the beauty of this podcast, where I have amazing people globally to share their stories and how to learn from them. So I'm like on a, I don't have time to say, okay, I'm super. Sometimes, yes, we have but to be, it's a funny stuff, but at the same time, I wanted this podcast to be educational, to be beneficial, to be with a lot of new knowledge for listeners, which can, some of episodes can change some of audience life because they can connect with them as amazing speakers, amazing business owners, professionals who do their job in right way. And thankful to the school, as you mentioned in Brains Magazine group, I put my post about it, and you read it and came to me and say, Christina, I wanted to be a guest on your show. And thank you so very much for that.
Well, thank you for having me again.
Thank you for joining me, and I really appreciate your time and what you do, like for our audience to hear your story, what you do. And in some way, when we do like intro in some parts of this podcast and this episode, I wanted some way to today maybe to do like a little bit of masterclass. I showed that they my speakers, my guest speakers show up with their expertise, like that we mentioned about it. But I have a few questions for you, and I know that you are so open to answering them, and maybe you answer still, but it doesn't mean to repeat again because we can say the repetition is a matter of learning, so it's no worries to repeat again if we answered still on that. My first question for you in this part of show today is what led you into trauma counseling? You mentioned that, but what led you, like maybe just for to share with us?
Okay. Being a nurse, I was getting a bit tired of working so hard and doing night shift. And the older you get, the worse it is doing nights. So I was looking for something that I could do other than nursing. In emergency department, it was essential that we did our stint of night shift. And quite honestly, I was getting tired. 3 nights in a row was about the max I could do. So I was looking for something. So I started my counseling training, and that's when I discovered my husband had got complex PTSD, and then all the things that followed after that. So then, after I had left him, it's then I came to England to look after my dad, who was 91 at the time. And I went back to Australia because I'd found out about TRTP. It's not available in the UK, and there are only two practitioners, myself and another person, who are doing it. So it's not well known here, but we are doing our best to broadcast it through podcasts, etc. Thank you, Christina, so that we can tell
Thank you
other
for
people.
sharing. You're so unique. If you said that at the moment, now is all there are two only practitioners, yourself and the other one
Yes.
in
And so
UK.
we are getting the work message out there as much as we can. I post on LinkedIn and Facebook to explain that this system works, and I do tell stories. I think stories are very powerful because when I can help someone and they can see the transformation, that's exciting. I remember one of my earlier clients, my friend's daughter's boyfriend. He had personal trauma. He lost his dad when he was a small boy, and he was Jamaican, and he was really a bit scared about coming to see me, but he came in person. His girlfriend brought him, and he sat down in the chair. And I said, "It's all right. I don't bite." And I went through the first stage of things, and as he stood up, he gave me a massive big hug, which was wow. That was lovely, but I hadn't expected that, but it was really nice. Then he went outside where his girlfriend was waiting for him, and he gave her an even bigger hug. And over his shoulder, she mouthed at me, "What did you do to him?" And I said, "It's the process." And they are doing really well. They've had a little boy together, and I get updates from time to time. So that's now 6 years later. They're still doing great and no repercussions whatsoever. So his trauma has been resolved. He's really moving on. He's become a manager in the position he's at now, which he didn't have before. So you can see that this system can be life transforming, and often it is true that people get better jobs, better help afterwards because their mindset has changed.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. So, this is the beauty of podcasting, just that mm, professionals as you are to to share something new. As you mentioned, that there are only two people, only two practitioners who do that in UK. So this is a way that in this podcast many people globally hear about it. My next question for you, dear Fran, is how did emergency nursing shape your view of trauma?
Well, that's a very easy question because obviously in emergency department you are facing traumatic incidences all the time. I often say to people now when people say they've been at the office and they've been really busy, I'm going, they have no idea what busy is. Because when you are faced with 10 ambulances rocking up because something has happened, or somebody's got a heart attack and it's now, we've got to treat them now, you can't wait. It's no, it's full on, it's now, 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 now. And when you've got a queue of ambulances waiting to offload their patients to then rush off and get more, your cubicles are constantly being changed, because once you've helped somebody to be assessed, then they're moved on and you start all over again. So it's constant go, 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 go. There's no stopping. So it's a
No,
very exhausting job.
no stopping process. Anyway, I see, I understand. Thank you for sharing that. My next question for you is, what do people misunderstand about trauma?
This is a good question because,
Thank you, thank you. I'm super happy that I have good question for you.
yes, there we refer to traumas as big T trauma, like somebody who's been involved in a car accident, or has been to war, or has been involved in domestic violence and it's been very brutal. And these are big T traumas. And then little T traumas will be something that's really bothered you. It wouldn't necessarily have bothered somebody else. It just depends. But for you, it was a big thing. For example, a child might have been told by a carer, "You're a piece of shit. You amount to nothing. You'll never do anything in your life." Now that's a small trauma because it's lodged up here in their unconscious core beliefs, meaning I'm no good. I'm never going to amount to anything. And if we can help them to shift that, change that, and say, my life matters. And I am important. I'm the king of my life, and I am making a difference to the people around me because I matter. And you get them to change that and understand that and go, wow. And it really does something in the mindset. And it is so powerful. And it makes them give, oh, well, I could do that. Yes, reach for the stars. So one of my most recent clients came to me, was really almost afraid to go outside. She was agoraphobic, so she was afraid to go outside. And she was doing a small business, which she started a while, and she wasn't sort of super excited about it or anything. She said, my digital magazine has 30,000 people reach, which is a fair amount, you'd think. But since doing TRTP, she has blossomed, she's changed, her confidence has rocketed, and now her magazine is reaching over 500,000 people, so it's 500,000 more. And things seem to be snowballing, getting better and better and better. Now that's the thing that we're looking for, is the joy and the self-confidence to go to the next level and the next level. That's what we're looking for.
And this is such a good way from my marketing perspective that your client can share about you as a testimonial on your website or on some
Yes.
profile where you are on your landing page, business page, however. And this is so important that she can share a story also about it. Or you can run your own podcast one day and you can talk with your clients and they can share their testimonial through the process and how it works, how it was before, how is now.
Yes.
It's quite
On,
good.
on my website, I actually got an interview posted there with just such a client who has transformed his life. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
exciting.
this is so important. Also, my next question for you is, how did your personal journey influence your work?
Right. That's also another easy question. My ex-husband was really struggling with his mental health by the time we came to the end of our time together. And it was really difficult. One day he went AWOL for 3 whole days. I didn't know where he'd gone, where he was, what he was doing. There was nothing. He wouldn't answer his phone. I didn't know if he was still alive. It was that bad. So that was really tough. And at the same time, my youngest son was going through an operation in the hospital. So I was torn between the two. It was very difficult.
And your experience in your family, I mean,
Mm.
family experience with your husband and also, so, and we can say that I don't think that there is no any person who didn't have some kind of trauma in some way in our life.
Yes, I think that's right. It doesn't all have to be big T trauma. Little T trauma can be something that you got shocked by something. Even watching a film can be terrifying sometimes, and somebody can get trauma from that. So
Yeah.
there's all sorts of ways of having trauma. And as you say, Most people have had something in their
A
life.
little, let's say a little bit, just some kind of traumatic, just you mentioned you're not worthy, you like a family frame pattern and say, hey, you're not worthy, you're not good enough.
Mm.
We don't want to talk about imposter syndrome now, but this is a way what we learn from our families, from our parents, grandmas, grandpas, father, mother, and other, that we're not worthy, we don't know to do it, you don't do like this, do it like that. I also experienced that as a child, and I know how it was, but I have never thought about that I'm going to have my podcast. And to be honest, sometimes family doesn't understand what you do. They can give you support, but I think that they don't have enough knowledge that they can understand what you do. I mean, in general, not just only from my
Yeah.
experience.
Oh, I think a lot of times that parents have no idea what their children are going through and they haven't walked in their shoes. Likewise, the children have no idea what the parents have gone through because they have not walked in their shoes. So I think I was talking to somebody else today. There is another major problem in families that children of around coming up to 30 are turning on their families. And it's not just me, there's a lot of people are experiencing this, that children have suddenly said, "Oh, I don't want to talk to you, mum," or can you leave us alone because we're getting on with our lives? And that is quite hurtful. And there's no respect for elderly parents these days. And I think it's unfortunate that it seems to be across the board.
And this, what we don't have that unrespect to
Mm.
older. This is missing link. What we
Yeah,
need to review, what we need to overcome, and that new generation, young people, that they need to teach, educate their future kids. How can I say that? Because this is very important. I like to learn from older, like as I was a child, maybe it was that time, that way. But time is time, and I think without respecting and rejoicing to each other, this is no way that people can be healthy. I mean, also in some way. This is maybe other topic that we can speak. We have a lot of material to speak about. And my next question is, what are signs of unresolved trauma? What are signs? How people can maybe they get some trauma and they didn't resolve it.
yeah. I think you'll find that somebody who's got unresolved trauma, maybe somebody who has a short fuse, they might get angry quickly, they might be disorganized, they might be fearful of stepping up and speaking out. These are all things that possibly are signs, but they could be signs of other things. So it's very difficult to say exactly what to look for. As I said, mental health is a difficult thing because there's no signposts. There's no flags waving saying, I've got this or I've got that, unless you say, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, for example. A lot of people these days are getting a late in life diagnosis and they never knew. They've gone through life, struggled with this and that, and oh, that makes so much sense, but they didn't know about it. So there's awful lot of things now, but mental health is a very tricky subject. I'm just doing a course now on suicide awareness and self-harm prevention, and it is amazing how there's such a plethora of opportunity to get help, but people don't ask for it or receive it. Or the other problem is the situation is that NHS is swamped with too many clients and not enough people to work for them. But there are ways of getting support.
And maybe some people, not some, but there are many of them who are shaming to
Yes.
ask for help, to
Yes.
go to the psychologist or to go to
I
some
think,
people, doctors who can help them at first point. If
I
they see
think
some signs of their mental health that something is not good.
Yes, I think that's true. I think the shaming thing is less than it used to be. I think people are a lot more ready to go and see a counselor than before because I think America have said, "Oh, I've just got to go and see my shrink," and that's fine. But now it's much more, "Oh, I'm just going to pop off and see the counselor." There's no shame in that. It's just like going to see the doctor. I'm just going to get some help for my mental wealth rather than my physical health. And I like to call it mental wealth rather than mental health, because you need to have a clear, good mind. And it's up to each of us individually to work at getting a well brain, wellness. So, yes, mental health is important.
Yeah, and I think that the brain is it's a chemistry. We cannot, it's so wider and wider. And yeah, we cannot, it's such a big
Subject.
subject, yeah. And we cannot know, there are people who, hey, I know him from childhood, he was so good. What happened? Like in terms of mental health, or this is not be the same person, but we are changed. We change every single day. We change, our brain changes. I mean, we're not the same personas what we were as a child, or in high school, or in primary school, or as a university student. So that's especially nowadays in this such a very, very fast way of living. I mean, technologies and everything.
Well, we are changing all the time. I love one of my lecturers said it's a liminal space. So, for example, you're going into a lecture room. The doorway is like a liminal space. You're going through a point of transition. So, when you go into the lecture room, you've gone in with no understanding of the subject, for example, and you come out, and you've been transformed because now you've been re-educated about a whole new lecture full of stuff. And it's just incredible. Your mind has got buzzing with all these new ideas, and you've come out, "Oh, I can apply this to myself. I could do this, I could do that." So it's a whole different thing. And in that time, you have changed, which is amazing. So we're growing
Yeah,
all the time.
so true, so true. My next question for you is, how can people start finding joy again? Maybe we talk about trauma and other anxiety, or how people can start finding joy again.
I think it is very much a desire of an individual. I can't change somebody. They have to want that. So, for example, and that might sound strange, but some people don't want to be well if they have got a system where they're getting paid money for being on benefits, for example, and then they get well, then it means they don't need the benefits anymore. So, where's the money coming from? So, this is a big question. So, if you want to be well, it is your choice. Do I choose a better life, or do I choose to keep the one I've got? And it is boiling down to that simple matter of making a choice.
And do you think that financial point or model, it doesn't mean that people have to have a lot of money to be happy?
No, money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah, but there are many people who I work, and that's it, and don't take care about the health, about mental health, about anxiety, about everything I just mentioned before today. Uh, People just go there, and they don't want to visit practitioners or psychiatrists or psychologists, whoever, to see that something is happened in their inside of them, in their brain, in their head, and similar.
I think everybody's had something to impact them because we're none of us perfect parents. So, we've all made mistakes. We've all possibly damaged our children in some way or other. And no, for that, I'm sorry, but I did the best with what I could at the time. So transformation can occur if you want to be well and you need that help to get there, because that's all I see myself as a catalyst. I am not somebody who can fix people. I can walk with you through something, but you have to do the work yourself. I'm here to support you. And if you need ongoing support afterwards, happy to be here for you. That's fine.
And you have to be open. I mean, people who will listen to this episode and this show today, we need to be open to collaborate with you or other
Mhm.
practitioners or doctors and whoever, that we need to want that. If we
Yeah.
don't want inside of us, no one can help us. I mean, nobody.
No, I had a wonderful client who was a ketamine addict, and he came on to see me online because his mother had sort of kind of pushed him into it. And I said to him, okay, tell me a bit more about your fucked up life. And he told me, and I reflected it to him. And then I said to him, how do you want your life to look? And he said, oh, I'd love this, this, and this, and this. So I said, okay, how bad do you want to change from A to B out of 10? And he had to think about it. And that's one thing that I just go, he had to think about it for a bit. And then he came up with a number 6.5. And I said, right, okay, you stop right there. I want you to get better more than you do. So I'm going to stop this conversation right now. And I'm going to say, go away and think about what you've just said, your fucked up life and what you'd like it to look like, and how bad you want to change. And when you've got it to 9 and 10, we'll have a session in 3 weeks' time and we'll see how bad you want that change. And within a week, he'd rung me up and said, can we change the appointment, please? Because I'm checking myself into rehab today. And I said, brilliant. So that's what he did. And when he came out of rehab, we had some sessions and he did really well, which is exciting.
Congratulations. This is amazing.
Yeah.
What you share with us today, because like that you help people really to be open to resolve their problems, especially mental health. My final question for you today is, what's your message to those struggling? Or what will be message to listeners, audience of this episode? Just think about their health and how to react if they see something that is not good with them or however.
I think it is not to be afraid to ask for help. Help is out there and it's not judgmental, it's not condemning, it's there to support and help you to get your joy back. So don't be afraid to ask. And if you see somebody that's struggling and they think, well, why don't you get some help? I can suggest this person or that person. Please do that. Be somebody who's willing to listen and to talk things through, because that's what a lot of people these days now need, is somebody who will see them, hear them, and value them. Those are three very crucial points: to let somebody be seen, to be heard, and to be valued. If somebody's walking on the streets, if you know their name, it gives them an identity. They're valued. You might not have to do anything apart from buy them a coffee, for example, but it makes such a difference. So I think it's important you understand there is a need out there for support, help, but don't be afraid to ask for it. It doesn't mean you're weak or helpless, not at all. In fact, it takes guts and courage to ask for help. So please step up and do it.
And don't be shy, ask for help. And if you have some problem, like it's so for myself, what I experienced, and it's very good to talk with someone and open your soul. Because if you put everything inside of you, sometimes we'll like it's going to be reflecting very negatively on your health. It's no shame to ask for help. It's no shame to talk with someone first of all. Here is our friend. She can help you also if you have any question about your mental health. If you see your sign that is something not that don't this doesn't resonate with you, please connect with Fran. She can help you a lot because she helped many people globally. Why she couldn't help you as well? Dear friend, I will put all information about you and links to your website, but you can also share with us your website, just that people maybe they want like more to listen than to read, and where people can find you on what is your favorite platform when people can connect with you on social media.
You can connect with me through my website. It has a little button there and it comes into my WhatsApp, which is perfect. I do WhatsApp a lot. If you find my phone number somewhere, you can WhatsApp me. Please don't call me, because if I'm in a session with somebody, I will have to say I'll
Yeah,
call
just send message.
a send message,
Don't call, send a message.
and I will get back to you.
And you are also your website. Can you just let us know the domain of your website?
Yes, I can put it in the chat so you can put it on there.
But you can read it. Just let us.
Oh, yes, sure. So it's www.fran, Fran, hyphen traumacounselling.com. That's it.
And yeah, and you're so the best way to connect with you is on WhatsApp. Send a message and also go to the website. I will put all information below. And do you use any kind of LinkedIn maybe or some of
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn as well.
social media pages?
LinkedIn is yes, I've got
Is the best way to connect
very
with you.
good.
And you put everything there. You mentioned that.
And I've got a whole load of testimonials on LinkedIn as well. So please feel free to check that out.
Yeah, reach out. Yeah, if you want also to connect with Fran, you can go to the LinkedIn and I will share as well LinkedIn page profile of Fran. So Fran, and also audience can connect with you for free session call or something like that.
Yes, I can give you a 30-minute free session, no problem. And if you need a grounding exercise, I'm happy to send you a grounding exercise. If you give me your email and phone address, I can help you to get that.
So and people can find everything on your website when they go there. Fran, what what I want to say before we ramp up, thank you so very much for joining to this session, to this show today, and you shared such amazing story, and you are really, really very authentic persona because as you mentioned that what you do, there are only two practitioners in UK, so that's you have a lot of space for sharing about what you do and to connect with other people who maybe can do something what you do, but also that you can help people on global level.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and you've asked some great questions. So I hope the audience will be appreciative and will feel free to connect and find out more.
Thank you so much again, and I see you very soon in my new episode.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and wish you such an amazing day. Thank you.